Hello, everyone, and welcome to this ninth day on the Machine Learning Made Simple 14 days long marathon. And today we have a practical session for the logistic regression by Namita. And I think Namita, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay.
And we are going to discuss the social network ads data set.
It's also a good topic. We can discuss salary of data scientists.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. 1 second. Are you able to share your screen now?
No,
Do you want me to
no.
share the data set again over here?
No, I'll share it.
Okay. Maybe I'll share it for the audience. Yeah.
But still, I'm not able to share the screen.
Ilya, can you allow her to share the screen?
Yes, I can share now.
Okay, perfect. All the best.
Thank you. Okay, good evening all. Good evening once again. Today we will be again discussing logistic regression and the practical part. I also again thank for the opportunity given by Newton AI to host this event, as well as we are running 14 days marathon in which competitions also will be held where you can participate and win a lot of prizes. So keep participating, keep learning. Okay. So as we were discussing about logistic regression, the whole theoretical part was discussed, in which I just want to give a recap of it, where a logistic regression, the main basically it is used for binary classification, that is the either it is 0 or 1 or yes or no or true or false, such kind of data. For that classification, logistic regression will be used. And also we discussed yesterday how this mathematically the logistic regression is obtained based on the linear regression curve and based on the linear regression limitations, how we obtain the logistic regression, where we got the sigmoid function and we decide the cost function, and over maximum value of that we will be considering. And when we are using multi-class classification, we'll be using the highest probability to decide which model is good. Okay, so today we'll be discussing the simple example for building the model. I hope you all will be able to see my screen. I'll be showing you the data set. Before that, I would be explaining the problem statement. So here, the problem statement is, suppose a company is going to launch a new campaign for the new brand of car and want to know which category of people are likely to buy their brand new car, so they can have the ads that target those people. So it is as simple. This is the title of this example is social networking using logistic regression and social networking ads. Whereas here one of the company who is launching a new campaign, means usually the companies will be promoting the sales, so that they will be doing campaign, whereas they want to launch a new brand car and they want to know which category of people will be buying their brand new car, so that they can target. So they have asked data scientists to decide which kind of people are willing to buy based on the data set available for us. And for this, contact a social network advertising company which have the data, the ad agency which will be having the data from another similar successful campaign. They want to make this model help to achieve the goal. So how do they make it? They are given the data set here, which the data set contains 400 entries, which contains the user ID, gender, age, and estimated salary and the purchase history. As of, okay, I'll explain later. So here in the data set, 400 entries have been given. Actually, it is a small data set itself, where user ID, gender, age, estimated salary, and purchase history is given. And the matrix of features taken into account are age and estimated salary, which are going to be predicted is user going to buy a new car or not. So if he's buying a new car, and that is yes, and if he is not buying a new car, it is no. Okay, so based on that data, they are being classified and it is being given to us to analyze what kind of people will be buying it, whether which kind of age people, which kind of the category of age those people will be buying, or what is the percentage of their buying. Okay, let's see the data set. So what I have done here is, as we have mentioned here, the user ID and gender. Okay, that is in the text format, which is not much needed. So I have just taken age, estimated salary, and purchase history to directly load to the data set. So here you can find in the Excel sheet where you have age, estimated salary, and purchase data set. Okay, so age is given in different categories, like it starts from 19, 35, 26, 27 till 400 data is available, whereas their salary is also given. Now, here the ad agency is going to predict based on their age and based on their salary, how are they willing to buy. Suppose if you can see here, the person age 32 and he is drawing around 1,50,000 and his purchasing is the condition is yes. As you people have seen here, here he wants to predict that user is buying to buy a new car. If he is willing, then it is yes as it is number. So here we can see this 32 aged person who is drawing 1,50,000 is willing to purchase the car. Similarly, 47 age group, 25,000 estimated salary, but he is also willing to buy. So we cannot say the highest salary person only is willing to buy or the lowest salary person is not willing to buy. We cannot classify like that. The survey details is here. Now we have to predict based on this model who is going to buy and what is the prediction rate or what is the successful rate of buying them. So we will be building a model and we will be helping out this ad agency to understand so how the car company wants to launch its car by which kind of target people. Now for that, I'll be going to Google Colab. So I've already loaded the data set here and I have the program ready to run. Okay, so we start with the title, social network ads using logistic regression. Now here I'll be much concentrating towards the particular model itself because here we are only talking about logistic regression. I don't want to confuse you much because as we have discussed the theoretical part in simple way that how it goes and how it works, so that I want to go with that this thing. Okay, now before I start, here we have to import the libraries first. Okay, import numpy as in np, import pandas as pd. So here the different libraries we'll be using so that we have to optimize the performance of the model. Like suppose for example, pandas will be using, which is a fast, powerful, flexible and easy to use open source data, which will help us to manipulate the tool. And the matplotlib is a collection that will make us to work with figures and creating the plotting area and plotting some lines in the plotting area and also decorating the plots which are with the labels also. For that, matplotlib is useful. And Seaborn is for the data visualization library built on the top of matplotlib and which is closely integrated with pandas data structures in Python. And along with that, you can see sklearn is a very important model, so library for linear regression and logistic regression. So that is mandatory required for the importing of that library. And also here there are confusion matrix. Yesterday we were discussing about confusion matrix with type 1 error and type 2 error, where I have shared the example of the pregnant woman and the pregnant condition where the doctor is willing to say pregnant for the boy who is not pregnant, that is false positive, and here the lady is pregnant and the doctor is not willing to say, the doctor is saying that she's not pregnant, that is a false negative statement, negative statement. So based on that confusion matrix also we have to decide because there will be errors in the data, so that we have to decide how much percentage of the data is telling the truth. And this classification report will tell us, because yesterday we were discussing about classification where we categorize 0 and 1 as a binary classification, and by this classification report we'll be able to understand what kind of percentage of people are willing to buy the car. And also accuracy score, recall score, this again it depends on the code we run based on the other variables we require. And ROC curve, yesterday people were asking about this ROC curve, where this ROC curve will tell us, means where it is slightly modified, that percentage will tell us who are the people are going to buy it. And then train test split model is required to test, and gradient boosting classifier I'm not using it. Further models which you will be learning, there will be understanding it. Okay. I hope the libraries part is clear. So now let's learn with the data. So first thing what we do is I'll be defining the data as DF, where I'll be loading the data set of this social network stats. Here my file name is social_network_ ads, where this data set I'll be loading into my Google Colab notebook. So here I have defined it as pandas pd.read_csv, which in bracket social_network_ads.csv. So this is a part where we have to load the data set. This requires for every algorithm or every model or every analysis which we use, we have to load the data set to analyze it. Okay, and then run it as because I have used the use a variable, so I'll be running with the variable df. Okay, so this data set I'll be running. Now you can see the Excel sheet which I have here is loaded into the data set there. So 19 age, estimated salary and purchase, the same data you can see it here in the Colab notebook till 400 rows and 3 columns. So this is what the data set I have loaded here. Now sometimes for when we are analyzing the data, we should be very much pretty sure that what kind of data is required. Now, when I talk about regression or logistic regression, we have to be very much particular about using the dependent variable and independent variable. As I told you, the dependent variable is x and y is the independent variable based on the value which we have to predict. And it is otherwise vice versa also. Some people consider y as independent variable and x as independent variable because we have the regression equations on y on x also and x on y also. So it differs based on the problem statement and the people statement use it because it can be used vice versa also, and the statement can also be used in the problem in the variables given there. Okay, so this data will tell us what is the age, what is the estimated salary and purchase. So based on the age, based on the estimated salary, we can decide who can purchase and who cannot purchase. Now suppose, as I told in the problem statement, you have seen that gender and the employee ID is required. Sorry, user ID and gender was there. Now, if I take also, then if the question was like, if you can classify how many are male and how many wants to use it, how many are female and they want to use it. That was not the problem statement, so I did ignore it. And the same user ID also. And they will be in text format. Suppose if I'm using it in other statistical tools, I may use it for my frequency distribution. But here I'll be using only for the data set to build a model. So I'm very much particular that I'll be loading only this kind of data. Okay, because whenever you're loading the data, why I'm telling about you this, because tomorrow you may get a lot of questionnaires, lot of surveys where everything will be okay. What is your name, what is your gender, what is your age group, what is your salary. That you have just here binary classification 0 1, where you will have multi-class classification like your age group from 0 to 20, there is one age, that is 0, and 21 to 30, there is one group. Okay, there will be grouping of data. At that time, we should be very peculiar to choose what kind of data has to be used. So everything, every model or every data which we play is built on the analysis of data only. So you should be able to decide as a data scientist what kind of data you want to choose when you are loading the data set. That is very much important. So to check now whether my data is correct or not, so what I do is I just run for the first 5 rows. Now you may ask why you are running only first 5 rows. You can run the top bottom also using tail. You can run the top data also using head. So here df dot, because I have used the variable df and that is stored in that variable. So df dot head I'll be using. Okay. So when I use df dot head, I get the first 5 variables or the first 5 data which is there in the data on the Excel sheet. So that is the first 5 data you can see here. This is 19, 35, 26, 27, 19. Okay, these are the first 5 data which you can see here in this part. And you can see purchase 0, means these people of age group of this are not willing to buy the car. Next comes the shape of the data. Now, this is very important because why do we check the shape of the data is we have to see whether the data which we have extracted from the Excel sheet is correct or not. Okay, so the shape will tell us what is the shape. Shape means what is the number of data. So here 400 is number of rows and 3 is number of columns. So you can see here I have 1, 2, 3 columns and this data set is still 401, including the first heading. So it is 400 data is available. So what did I do is I just check the shape of the data whether which the data set is loaded in my Colab is same as the Excel sheet. Suppose if there is a mismatch, then you have to correct the data. Now for that again you will have the missing data also. And some data by type error or by the filling of error, manual error, or the person might have not fit. Such kind of data also we can check using the null value. Use null value, then you can check whether it is 0. And if it is 0, then you can say that all the data set is clearly mentioned. Now what I'll do is I'll check how I can see the data. Visualization of numerical columns. All three are numerical columns. So purchase is the decision what we have to do. So I'll visualize age and estimated salary for you. For that I'll be using sns.diskplot.df of age. So SNS is the importing of the library from Seaborn. That is Seaborn is a visualization technique. So visualization means I'll be viewing it in the form of graph or in the form of bar graph. Okay. So that I'll be using it as sns.diskplot.df of age. Okay, let me run that. Why this df is that is a variable, and once I put the square bracket, my column head name will come automatically. That is age. So I'll run this. Now you can see here the graph where histogram graph is available, where you can see 10 to 70. I did not check in the Excel sheet what is the age of the people, right? But here you can see the age group from 10 to 70 age group is there available in the data set. And when this curve is here up at the peak, that says that 40 age group are more. Whereas 70 age group are 2 or 3 people, 60 age group are these many people, 50 age group are these many people. Whereas lot of people lie under 30 to 40 age group and those people are more in my data. That is what it says. So while we are understanding this visualization, everything is now I should be assuming my result. Okay, the result might come in the set of age group of 30 to 40 people because they are more and they are my choice of buyers. So that will help me out to find out the decision how I have to consider that. Okay. So by this visualization of numerical column of age, I would like to understand that the age group of 30 to 40 or like 40 itself, I can say these are 40 age group people are more. Okay. So I hope this part is clear. Now, same way, the same code I have used here, sns.diskplot bracket df of estimated salary. Now let us see, by salary we will understand which kind of people are there or how much joint people are there. Okay. When I run this, you can see here, the salary range is from minus 25,000 to 1,75,000. So I have lot of people coming from minus 25,000 salary to 175,000. Whereas here I can see the age range of 75,000 in between, like if I have to say 1 lakh, there people are more. And coming to a slightly 50,000 people are also less more than that, and 25,000 people are so many, and 125. By this graph, I can understand the 75 to 1 lakh in between the range people are more. So I can also predict that, okay, these many people are buying. Excuse me. Now, next, that is df.describe. Describe, what it will tell is, it will give the description of the data. So let us run that. Df is again the variable which I have chosen at the earlier. So here, describe in the sense for all the three age group, age, estimated salary and purchased. Okay. So here count is 400. This is 400.5 decimals. The count is only 400. And you will understand mean. Mean is what? The average of all the age. Means age group from, what is the age group? From 10 to 70. The average age we have got is 37. And the salary average, see, we checked in this thing, 75,000 was the median year, but still it was maximum year. And in the mean, we got it as 69,742.5. And 35% of the people say that it is purchase. Means 35% it is mean. And then standard deviation is nothing but the measure of dispersion where the central value where it moves. So it is 10%, means there is not much movement in the data. It is little bit of 90% of accuracy. And here also 34096 and 0.47%. Okay. And the minimum value is 18 in the age. Minimum value estimated salary is 15,000 it starts, and purchased it is 0 or either 1. Then 25% percentile, 50% percentile, 75% means they have grouped into the percentiles into the range of 25, 50 and 75, how the data has been shown. Okay. Most of the time mean is sufficient to understand what is the value. And here in the age group, you can have maximum 60 age group people, and estimated salary is around 1,50,000, and purchase value is either 0 or 1, and the max value is 1. That is nothing but range, the smallest and the largest value we define. Okay, so here max they have defined and here min they have defined. So that is the range of the data. So this will give me the whole extract of the data what I am using here. Now coming towards null, as I told, there will be some missing values. Okay, people might not have entered the data, or people might have forgotten to enter it, or there might be some misplaced, right? So because of that, we will be identifying. What is the null data? Now, age is C. There is no missing data. Is df dot is any bracket dot sum, means any null values are there. Please check it is. And age is null, 0. Estimated salary 0. Purchased is 0. Then next is we will go for exploratory data analysis. Actually, in the logistic regression, it is required or not required, but to explore you with the pictures or like plots, I just have run the exploratory data analysis in that. So SNS.pairplot run of DF. That is one of the Seaborn library, SNS.pairplot, which will give me different types of plots using the data. Just I'll run it. Okay. Now you can see the different types. That is, age has been given in 3 different diagrams, estimated salary is given in 3 different diagrams, and purchase is given in 3 different diagrams. So here age, you can see the histogram diagram and the scattered diagram, as well as the one more kind of chart it is, and estimated salary, as well as purchase. It is simple, 0 is this many, 1 is here, and here again 1 is here, 0 is this many with the salary, and purchase is with the this many. So it gives the correlation between age, estimated salary, and purchased. Okay, I will not be using the correlation word, it might confuse you, but this is just a diagram or like the plot which has been done for the exploratory data analysis. Next one is again the data exploratory, where you can see the purchase size. Here we are plotting histogram with respect to age and the purchased one. Okay, so here we will be plotting with age and with estimated, purchase, means in the age group of 30 to 50 they are willing to purchase, whereas other data they are not willing to purchase. The next plot, count plot, x is equal to purchased palette color, means this is used for color and figure size of 15. So this is where purchased is 0, 1, just for the visualization technique, that's it. And here also again age, estimated salary, both diagrams we can see. This is candlestick charts where you can see the estimated salary on the above part and age on the down part. Okay, so how they are linked and what is their salary that has been shown here. Okay. Then next, sample size, df.sample. So here age group of 41, estimated salary 71, and the purchased is 0. And again with the purchased one, I log 0 to 2. And you can see in the head, there you can see 5 rows. And here with Y, you can see 0. Now here, when I am defining this X and head, Y head, here I am very much particular. Now while I am doing this data is, here I am considering this numerical columns, which you are seeing here. This independent columns are age and estimated salary. So I am giving it as variable X. And dependent variable is purchased Y. So that is Y. So the data type is in 64 and the Y is called as the a dependent variable and independent variable x are age and estimated salary. Now here you have the particular situation where you have to make the decision. Now people get confused in a lot of situations. How to consider what is the x variable and what is y variable. Now I have told you yesterday there is one target variable and there is one predictor. So what you are predicting that comes in y. And what is your target variable means by using what you are predicting that comes in x. So y is equal to a plus bx, where x value we have to input and then we will be getting the values for y prediction. So here what I am doing, my prediction values are purchased or not purchased, right? I have to decide on that basis. So it is y. And whereas x is age and estimated salary. So x will give me the variable where you have to analyze based on that data and estimated salary. Suppose here if I give you example, the sales will be high if the promotions are good. Okay. Now here if you can see this statement is contradicting, like sales will be more, then promotions will be more. Okay. So now if I have to predict my sales, y is equal to, then my advertising, my promotion will be x. Okay. Now the person might confuse and take it in otherwise also. How it is, if the promotions are made more, then the sales will also increase. Or if the sales does not increase, then the promotion should be made. Correct. So again, it is based on the statement of the problem where you have to decide what you are choosing. Because you can say that I have used sales as y because I'm predicting my variable sales, because by the end of the day for us sales matters, right? Because that gives us the profit for the company. So sales is the variable which I have to predict based on whatever is the other variables that comes as a features. Now next, what I do is, now I guess you understood what is the dependent variable and what is independent variable. Now you might say the same. I guess Pallab sir has explained it about the linear regression, where he also have explained about what predictors or what target variable has to be taken. So that will help you to understand based on linear regression as well as on the logistic regression also. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll be splitting the data into independent and dependent value. Now I understood what is my dependent variable and what is my independent variable. So independent variable, I'm defining it as y, which is my purchase decision, whereas x is the dependent variable where I'm considering it as the age and estimated salary. Now what I'll do is to build the model. Now the steps goes on very easy because here we are going to build the model. Now to build the model, what I have to do, I'll just explain it in the general terms. Now when I'm building the model, what I have to do is first I have to put them in one of the variable. Okay, because that model we can use it for further. That is why we put it into one variable. Other you can run the same with the same data. You might use different data sets. That time you can run it. So here what I'm doing is I'm splitting the data by x in one variable and y in one variable. And then what I'll do is I'll be pre-processing the data. Means I'm fitting it in the one statement straight line where that data fits into the method straight line. The transforming the fitting of the line. And then what I'll do is when I fit the data, then I check the logistic regression. I use my sigmoid function to fit the data. And then once it is fit, now you might ask me, Madam, the answer will come as 0 or 1. No, that also I'll show you. Here the data is to check the data, we should know. Now, if I'm asking you to use logistic regression and do it, you should know what will be my answer, right? Now, yesterday I have told, okay, your values lie from 0 to 1, I have told. But you don't know what answer it should come. Either it should come 100 or more than 100 or below 0. What's the answer? We don't know, right? So we should know what is the logistic accuracy we should get, logistic regression accuracy. Based on that score, I will decide whether my model is fit for this data set or not. Here I am building a model and which will explain me the data set for which I have to show the accuracy, whether the given data for which the model has been built, whether it is telling me correct or not. Now, for example, you might also get any task or any of the particular situation where you have to decide, in this company, there's many other employees and people attrition rate is very much high, and is it based on the salary or is it based on the pressure in the work, right? So there are two variables again here, and again you might have three different variables, and then based on that the analysis or like analyst can ask you, please analyze why people are leaving and what is the reason behind that. Then when they say that, you should be able to again decide, is salary is the matter or stress. Now when I take stress, stress cannot be into the quantitative factor, right? Stress I cannot measure in numbers. Stress is more or less will be given. So again you have to number them. It doesn't mean that okay, I cannot do the analysis. Yes, I can do the numbering and then do the analysis. So these are the several examples where you have to define the variables and then explain it in the variables and then set to the data. Now in the splitting of data here, x is equal to np dot as array. Okay, when I type np dot as array, it will come automatically, and df is my variable in which, as I told you, I'm considering age and estimated salary as the dependent variable. So in x, what I'm doing, I'm putting them in the x variable. So what I'm doing, np dot array as array, df of age and estimated salary comes in x. Whereas y, np dot as array, what is my predictor variable, that is purchased. Now you may ask me a question. Why this purchased comes? It's already a data, correct? And why you are taking it as the data itself? Now there are like historical data problems where we use 1, 2, 3 data and year-wise data will be given. That is, and then the numbers will be given, which will be predicting, because we don't need to use numbers because we put the values in X. There will be single side data also. Like suppose if you have to consider the sales of previous years and then you are predicting the future price, at that time you need not to take the Y value. Whereas here we already have the predictors. We have given. Now here we are checking whether this model is fitting or not. Okay. Now coming towards next one is normalizing the data set. Now here, normalizing the data set, we are not much running the code. Here what we do is pre-processing dot standard scalar dot fit x dot transform x. Now, why I'm pre-processing is, when I have defined my array in x, that I have to process the data. Means you please use this data and fit me a straight line or fit me a equation. So pre-process dot standard scalar and dot fix dot transform x means you have to transform that x variable as the array into age and estimated salary and try to fit the data set in that form. And transform x is when you are using regression, we use it as transform x and we use the pre-processing dot standard scalar. And then what I do, I cannot run this, means I have to show some data. So x of 0 is to 5, first 5 data I have to pre-process. Now you can see the data. I'm sorry. Now you can see the values, means what is happening is the sigmoid function, the maximum of that value. Yesterday I explained, right? The maximum of that probability. Here I don't have multiple class. I need not to say maximum of probability. I just have to tell the values, which I explained you in the curve. In the case one with positive values, with negative values, and the mix of positive and negative values, right? So in one situation you got +1, in one situation you got -1, and in again one situation you got +1. So those are those values where you can fit the transform into x. Means you can see here how it is pre-processed into x values. That is nothing but age and estimated salary together. That is what we have normalized the data set. I hope this is clear. Then next, what I'll do is, based on this data set, I'll do the train and test data. Now, as you all know, train and test data is mandatory line where you have to use train underscore x, test underscore x, train underscore y, test underscore y. Here I am training the data as well as I'm testing the data by my variable x into y in that model. So I'm just training x data as well as y data, and I'm also testing the data. So this is the what I call the gold line or the labeled line which we have to train and test the data by using simple code. So looks like a lot of same words, but it is as easy as when you practice it. Train underscore x, test underscore x, train underscore y, test underscore y, which is equals to train underscore test underscore split, whereas x comma y test underscore size is equal to 0.2. Now why 0.2 is, this is the value which has been set for the size, and the random state is sometimes it is required, not required. 40 here it has been assumed, means you can set it for 50, you can set it for 60, just a random number state. Okay, when I run this, it is set now. Train and test model is set. Now the final thing that comes is making a model. So I'm making a model based on the salary, based on the age as X variable and Y as the prediction. So LR is equal to, LR is one of the variable which I'm putting the logistic regression bracket solver is equal to liblinear. This already I have imported the library dot fit dot both the you have to pass the data, that is train underscore X and train underscore Y. You have to pass both the data so that we have to predict the model LR. Now what I do is in the predict PRED, I'll be saving them in the variable LR dot predict underscore test underscore X. See, now I'm not using Y because I'm predicting for X and I have already trained the data Y. Now I'll run this data. Now you can see here, as I was telling yesterday, 0 to 1, right? So you can see an array. These are the values where we can get the prediction, where we can understand where we have got the X and Y values with this classification. So these are the predicted values which we are going to get in the model. Okay. Now, if I give this to the our manager, okay, this is the 0, 1, you are getting these many people are interested in your buying your car, you can go ahead. Will he agree? No, right? I have to tell him some percentage. Oh, this people are expecting these many car. People are in the range of expectations, and you have to buy for this. Okay. So now I cannot give him this value. This is a exact train value, and I have just predicted it, right? But now what I am doing is I have to run the show now. So what I'll do is spread underscore probability. Now I have to tell him what is the score or what is the probability of people buying the car. Now let me run this. Spread underscore probability, which is equal to LR dot predict underscore prob and passing the X variable. So you can see these many people, the all positive probability values are willing to buy it. So here the probability value lies from 0, 1. There is no the such values which we have -1 or more than 1. So these are the prediction of my score where I am going to get it. Then next coming towards, now I have done the model. Okay. Now whether my model is correct or not, I have to check, right? So I have to do it as evaluation. So how do I do is LR dot score. Now what the score you have got? Now this score my manager will understand because he is not from the technical background, right? So he will understand whether I'm telling him to buy it or not. Now see here, LR dot score test underscore X, when I pass test score and X and Y, so I got the score as 0.8375. Means what does this explain is, this is the score which says that these people are interested. Now what kind of people are interested is the data which here it is showing. Okay. So all the data which comes under the probability and our array, this means our model is very much fit. What we have built is a 0.8375. Here we usually say that accuracy near 0.80 to 90 is said to be good or ideal. Hence we can accept this model. Now still if you want to increase the accuracy or reduce the amount of errors, for that we can implement various algorithms and pick most accurate one. Here further down we can use k nearest neighbors to increase the accuracy score. Now people might say, okay, 83% is not a good score. We want 100%. How can we decide on your 83% of score that people will buy the car or not, right? So here LR score will tell me this is your score. Means here in statistics we have particular values in which you can decide, okay, this under comes under accuracy which comes as a percentage, and we can believe that this is the score which we have to run. And then we can decide, okay, this is the best score, and we can take this data as for our model building, and then we can put our data and check whether our model also is done. Now here, for example, we took only 3 data. Again, the same 3 similar data for other 500 people. If you run the same show here, exactly you'll get the model percentage accuracy. You need not to write a code. Here, what you have done is for this kind of 3 different categories, that is for estimated salary and age and the prediction of purchasing, that you have already set one model now. For this model will help to what all the companies where if they want to predict it based on the age, estimated salary and the buying strategy. Either it is automobile company or either it is pharma or either it is FMCG, anybody can use this model. Now, I have to give them the classification report. So print classification underscore report test by prediction. Okay. So that comes like this with the table. Now some values have been seen like medical report, right? So here you can see the value where you have precision, recall, F1 score, support. You need not to worry about that. You can see last one weighted average. Okay. So this average you can see here, this is 0.8375 and we have got the precision of 0.84. Now I can say that, see, if 84% the model fits for the data. So you can decide this data based on that which kind of age group of people are willing to buy. Okay, and also further, if you have to explore it, you can use the matplotlib or visualization techniques for the green color people are buying or red color on people are not buying. You can classify into that. Okay, that's again you are playing with the data. You can do that. So weighted average here you can see is 0 precision is 0.83 and 1 precision is 0.87, and where accuracy I've got macro average need not to consider because very much high variation. You can consider the weighted average where it is 0.84 and the support the F1 score is 0.82. So this is the classification report which we get on base building the logistic regression model. And last, when we decide means what is the confusion matrix, what we have got, it means type 1 error, type 2 error together. Once I run this, CM is equal to confusion matrix, prediction, the means I'm taking the independent variable and predict, and heat map, means here I'm using the visualization tool to show you how the plot dot show. Actually, this is the code and this is the visualization. If you don't use this, you just get it in the table. So here you can see in the first, if you see that diagram, yesterday I was showing you. So here confusion matrix will tell me type 1 error and type 2 error, where you can see the data. It will be no or yes, where total will be given, and here it will be shown with true this one as data. Now total, if I have to do that, here 54 plus 13 means 54, 67% is true. The values are 67% is truth value and 13 are the errors which we have. So by confusion matrix, we would like to know what is the type 1 error and what is false positive statement. So we can say that 7 and 67% error is having yes answer and around 13 are having negative, means false answers. That is what is the confusion matrix shows. This is for the understanding of the data, means what data is correct and what data is not correct based on the type 1 error and type 2 error. So this will tell us the confusion matrix and how we can identify what falls into what category. Okay, so again, if you would like to see the linear logistic regression model, just making the model lies here, where you can predict the values of the arrays and we're fitting it into the X model and Y model. Okay, so this is how we explain the data set and we draw it into a code and we get the model built. Okay, so if it is some kind of similar problems like only just 10 data is there, then you can just use the formula and do it manually. Whereas here now I also had the same question being a statistics teacher. I was like, everything is in Excel, right? I just filter it now. You might say, madam, you can just filter it, no? Who are willing to just, you can see it by the observation of data. Data observation is also which of the important part for a person to understand what kind of data. Madam, just use filter here. Yeah, we have the option of filter, right? Just filter it and find out how many are 1 or 0. Just understand here, no? These people are 0. Just draw the graph here also. You might understand, right? Correct. I can do this here also. But the question here is, it's only for 400 people. I am able to see the 400. If this data is of 4,000, then dragging, dropping, and doing that part is very difficult for a person to analyze the data. Now, as a data scientist or as a person to analyze the data, we should have a skill of reading the numbers and taking the right decision for what kind of data it has to be analyzed. So here it is only just one, and you may ask me now question, madam, where is multi-class regression, right? Multi-class you have told us yesterday. Now there is again simple technique I'll tell you, but it is not here right now with me. But I would give you a reference in the Slack where what it will be a result is when we run that model in the logistic regression. Here, when I run it, I'll be using the X1, X2, and X3. In place of X, what I'm using it, simple as it is. Here, I'm will be training. Everywhere, I'll be using X1. Age, estimation salary will be another variable, and another two variables. And as per the age and estimated. For suppose, age and estimated salary for 1991, 1992, 1993. Okay. So that X1, X2, X3. Here also I'll be doing train X1, test X1, train X2, train X3, test x3. Then again train x3, again the same similar way to calculate. And now the decision here is we build a model, we get a value and we get again the accuracy, but accuracy will be given in three possibilities, means in the three probabilities will be given. Again, you have to choose in that probability which is the bigger one, and that gives you the exact prediction of the model. Means as I told you, for the three levels for the multi-class classification, where you will have three levels, or like we use three data set where you have to understand M1, M2, M3, and you have to check in which three models what is the probability giving answer, and if that probability answer is 1, in that you have to see which is maximum, and that model you have to select. That is how in the multi-class classification it is used. There are a lot of projects in the Kaggle as well as in the GitHub. You can see multi-class classification, as well as in the towards data science also there are many multi-class classification codes. Okay, here why I have made it so simple is because I want you people to understand how from simple three column data, sorry, three column data, how it is easy to build a model. Now, if I say the same data with a 15 series of questions or 20 series of questions, now there you should be able to understand what is the variable we have to choose it for independent and dependent. So here I'm very much clear in the data set where your classification will be 0 and 1. If it would have been linear regression, that you would have used a lot of data sets, and for you it might be a confusing step. Oh, what will be my y predictor variable? So here in classification, it is very easy where you can take that predictor, where like suppose you are doing a study on bank. Okay, now in the bank, people do a lot of deposits or no? This might be the question. And now you have to understand, or like bank in the not a deposit, people do deposits. I can ask that people usually take loan, yes or no? Okay, this kind of question. Now there will be a lot of series of questions in the bank. Now using that data, I can do a lot of analysis. But here they have asked me logistic regression from the bank loan. Now people are saying, when they are given the answer, I'm willing to take loan from this bank, I'm not willing to take loan from this bank. So when these two data sets are there, then I can say, okay, this is an exact classification problem, and I can just build a model by using this bank as a y variable and other features keeping it as x. Now other features you need not to take gender, age in bank. For the loan deposit, your deposit account, how much amount is required and what is the age group of that person is also fine. Then you can easily understand, okay, this bank can have the loan accuracy of this statement. Okay, and you can give the study to those banks. Okay, these people are willing to take loan from your bank, and this is a percentage of accuracy I've got from the model, and this you can use it for the further people also. And then the same way loan, again, any other schemes are there, then just put the data in the set and just load it and same run the code, this one, you'll get the data set. Okay, so this is kind of the Python, which is giving us the advantage of having these codes and running it in the same data set. But using this Newton AI platform, this is a higher version of what they use the data. That is like they just use it in one single click and train and test the data and they run it. Okay, that's very beautiful. I have not explored much, but I would have shown that. But you people are participating in such competitions and you are getting the benefit of 3 months trial version of that. Then I would really happy that if you try in that and get the answers very accurate, then that would give us the exact result. Just we can do this testing kind of things. Okay, so I hope the today's practical session, which is was done on logistic regression. Just quick recap I'll do. You have to import the necessary libraries required and just load the data and check for the data available by using head for the pi rows and shape for all the shape of the data what is, and just check with the visualization of those two data and check what is maximum, what is minimum value, what is average in the described data, and check for null data. And if exploratory necessary data is required, just do it by getting the graphs and matplotlib and SNS libraries visualization tools, you can use it. And then next is important thing is, if that is not done also, it's fine. You can have directly with the estimated and age as dependent variable and y as independent variable, put that array, split the data, normalize the data, train and test, make a model. Thus 4 steps you get the data. Here just I have come in the round robin shape, but it's fine. Only 4 steps you get the make model. And once your data is correct, no need to worry. And then predict it and check the score by using evaluation method, that is LR score test underscore X and test underscore Y. This is the actual step what you have to do it in the logistic regression. And give the classification report, and also if you want the pictorial representation, you can use those codes and use the data. So this, and notice 0.8 to 9 will give us the accurate data for which you can increase the accuracy and reduce the errors. Okay, so errors will also be there. There will be means if you take the exact data, errors will be there. Okay, so I hope this is clear, and if any queries you can shoot to me, and I request my all batchmates or this lead trainers of this marathon will help me out with the code, because I'm also like you, a learner, where I understood this model and I'm explaining it to you. I hope that would not be difficult for you to again come up with this kind of questions. Okay, let's take the questions. I hope this is understood for you people. Okay, I guess a lot of chat questions. I should.
Yeah, I mean, there was a question for sigmoid function. Did you take up that?
No, nothing I have taken. I have not seen the questions.
Okay, so there is a question over here.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take it up. Yeah, it says,
Okay.
can you explain about sigmoid factor?
Okay. Should I come from first, Soham, or like should I go from down? Okay,
It's
sigmoid.
completely up to you. You can take it. You can either explain it using your previous slide also. I mean the presentation, or you can explain it via Vacom or anything.
No. Means here questions I have to check it from the first I'm asking. Here one question
No,
is
you can take it.
it is answered. Okay. Okay, I was thinking gender can also play an important role. Yes, it will play, but given in the gender, they have given it as male, female. So if I number it, obviously again that becomes 0, 1 or 1, 2 if I predict it. Then if the dependent variable taking as gender, that also would help us. Yes, it will play a role given a data set. The next is independent or dependent or independent. X is dependent variable when I am using y is equal to a plus bx as the equation, and y is an independent variable as a general statement. Satish and Anvesh, yeah, he has answered it. Thank you. X is no, sorry, X is not independent. X is dependent. Y is independent. Okay, both the sides. I told vice versa. Then we do not need to scale or normalize the data after train or test split. Okay. For this, I would like to take the help of Soham. I'm not sure. We do not need to scale or normalize the data after. I guess we have to normalize the data before train and test split. Then only it will work. Means when I assign the variables, then we scale down into that value.
Yeah, I prefer scaling this before splitting it out, and it completely depends upon you, like how proficient you are with the code. Once you get the practice, it completely depends on you. Either you can split it after the scaling, or you can split it before scaling. So it completely depends upon that. Either you can scale it either way. So
yes, Anu has helped us also here. Yes, do it before or split it out. Yes. SVM session, sir has discussed it even why I have the indication. Okay. Well, normalization done after splitting data is preferred to avoid any data leakage, but as I pointed out before, it is completely programmatic. Okay. Okay, you can explain. Sigmoid factor once. Okay. Sigmoid factor, I'll just show you the slide. Okay. Excuse me. So this is the sigmoid function. Now, where in the linear regression we had limitations, that is, one is when outliers are there, the best fit model will not help us to analyze those data, and that result will come in negative. And the second thing is, if the values go above 1 and below 0, negative and more than 1, that explanation we cannot have with the data set. So the sigmoid function or the cost function for that linear regression which we used and which we explained with max of y I, Mi, and Xi. All these three together, when we combine it and add it, when we should get a positive value which should come from 0 to 1. That is what is the binary classification. Logistic regression is a binary classification model, whereas the answer should lie from 0 to 1. Or I cannot say the answer, it is the classification which we consider it as either 0 or 1. And there should be any threshold value between 0.5 where it lies, and we can able to classify the data based on the sigmoid function. But whereas linear, when outliers are there, we cannot do it in the linear regression. So we use a epsilon value, that is 1 divided by 1 plus e raised to minus z. So that will classify my data, and that explains the sigmoid function. If I have to show you the logistic linear regression, this is simple. The prediction will be on the similar best fit line, whereas the prediction using logistic regression is either yes or no, pass or fail, or A and B. That will be given by sigmoid function. Sigmoid function is nothing but the S curve which describes the values from 0 to 1. Okay, and there is one more sigmoid function. Okay, very clear. Thank you. Okay, could you explain briefly on cross_val score how it can be used? Okay. Anybody can help on this me, because cross I have not much familiar about this cross_val score. Pallav, Promi, Anu.
Yeah, I think the cross-validation score completely depends on your model accuracy also. Like you can use, I think there are some of the advanced algorithms, you can say boosting and baggings and all. So that can be used for, boosting the particular score, mostly the accuracy. And yeah, for the cross-validation score, I think I'll just check it up once again if I'm right or not.
Yeah, cross validation. Here, when we are taking the parameters, means suppose if we have more than one classification, at that time we can use cross validation, where the parameters will predict the function and test the same data using the methodology. Means we have the category, and then we can use the cross validation. Yeah, any kind of to avoid using the, yeah, you have written, yeah, for value used to avoid any kind of underfitting and overfitting. That's correct. In HCMS, it is there, as you people mentioned.
Yes, you are correct. Cross-validation score is used to avoid any kind of underfitting or overfitting. Thank you, Shatabdi. Is there any other kind of doubts or, with regards to the task? I think many of them did face some issues. So I think if everyone is clear with the task, and the third task is also very much simple, you can utilize all the algorithms over there, and you can figure out the best one and then upload it on the Kaggle along with your scores. I don't think we don't need to use it here. Yeah, for this particular data case, I don't think it is very much needed exactly over here. For this particular data set, I think so. But yeah, if you're looking at, yeah, I think there are some of the data set that I remember that requires cross-validation score to be done. One of them is, you can say this, there is IPL data set that requires cross-validations also. And then there is the cancer prediction that requires cross-validation. Apart from that, I think, yeah, I think for the generic ones, you don't require cross-validation scores. Cross-validation is a widely used technique to evaluate the performance of the machine learning models. Yeah, absolutely. Cross-validation divides the data into parts where one set is used for training and the other is used for testing purpose. Yeah, actually it does. I think if I remember that earlier to model selection for this training and test split, there was this cross validation for the selection purpose. If I think so. Yeah, thank you, Vivek, for that. Thank you, Satrupa, for the explanation also.
Well, if we are considering cross-validation score, then I think for classification models, we see for accuracy score that is equivalent to the cross-validation in classification models, wherein in regression models, we look for the R2 score in that.
Thank you, Anu, for that. Yeah, so do we have any more questions from your end on any of the data sets that you're using or not, or any other part that you're using, or any of the tasks that you are facing issue with? So we are up for next 10 minutes, and I think this session was completely understanding and very easy to grasp. Oh, I was setting.
I guess the participants, sorry, attendees, Anvesh, yeah, then Azaz, like they'll be very much active in the this thing marathon. I hope you people are participating also in the marathon.
Yeah. I mean, for the task, I would actually suggest that you guys can, apply all the basic models and, figure out the best one, and then, try to boost that particular model. Like say for, I think for house pricing data set, SCM, if suppose is working the best, then try to apply, more validations, or you can say more boosting techniques on it. You can try XGBoost, you can try Cat Boost, or any of the boosting techniques on that, and try to then see if that is having an underfitting or an overfitting model. So that is something you guys can definitely try, and then compare that with Newton AI's this thing, the model that you already performed for second and the first task. So that should give you a good amount of clarity that how Newton AI's platform can be much more beneficial when you are using business kind of models.
Thank you for doing that.
Welcome. So yeah, do let us know if you have any kind of doubt. And I believe I shared a book yesterday on Introduction to Statistical Learning by R. I think I'll be sharing that right now on LinkedIn also. So please take a look, download that book, refer to it, and do learn from that. That is a very good explanation for people who are, very much familiar with the mathematical background, and who has some good kind of knowledge into engineering, and they are wanting to learn more of the statistical part also. So that book is a very much recommendable book. So do go through it, check it out, and it's a complete bundle of everything you can see. So I'll be sharing two books specifically. So one is specifically by Jake Vanderplas. I think I shared it yesterday also. And I'll be sharing that again on the Machine Learning Made Simple, this event page. I'll share that again. And the other one is the Introduction to Statistical Learning by R. I think the author is Garrett James. So I'll share that again. And it's complete book. you can definitely refer to it. Okay, Shadabdi, you're working on ventilator project. Okay, go ahead. You have any questions regarding to that project? Okay. So do you have the Kaggle data set, or you have any other data set that you can share with us? Okay, you need to do the classification for the sense values and you need to predict the values. Okay, okay. Is this a hybrid kind of model that you are trying to build?
Email ID, so I can explain it. Yeah, his problem statement is quite bigger, and the topic is also very new, ventilator project, and we need to know the variables for that.
Yeah, you can share it here. Also, you can share the same thing, or you can put out, your message or everything on along with the data set on this thing on the Slack. Yeah, you can mail it to Promit also. You can mail it to me also. You can mail it to both of us, and we can definitely have a look at it. Sure, thank you. Great. So we have, if you guys have any more questions with regards to the task that you are holding up, so do let us know if there is any kind of doubt with regards to the third task specifically. Or I think the third question of the second task was a bit confusing for many of them. But do let us know if you are facing some kind of issues with that also. I'm not going to tell the answer, but I can just guide you guys. Okay, so there are not much questions. Do you guys have any specific requests for the data set that we need to cover up? Maybe say for KNN, maybe for what's left, decision tree and random forest. So do let us know if you have any particular data set that you want us to touch. Can use IBM SPSS for modeling. Yeah, definitely you can use IBM SPSS for modeling.
Soham, I would like to take this question. Yes, SPSS is a statistical package for social science. We can use it for modeling. Yeah, we can do it. That also same what we got as accuracy results. No, they be the same. We will be getting it. We can take it, and that is more easier compared to this coding. You need not to remember coding in that. Just drop and drag the values, and then you can do it. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this question was specifically for the task, if I'm not wrong. Is that correct, Leila? That you would like to model it on IBM SPSS and then put it on Kaggle. That is completely up to you. That is completely up to you. You can definitely model it on using any of the platforms. You can manually do it, and I think I prefer giving a chance if you can model it on your own and then compare it with IBM SPSS and Newton AI platform. I think that should give you a better idea. So I think that is much more preferable, that you can prepare everything on your own, do the modeling, do boosting and performance tuning, hyperparameter optimizations, and then you can compare that particular accuracy score or say model score along with the one on Newton AI platform and the one on IBM SPSS. So that's completely up to you. That's completely up to you. Is that clear, Leila? Great. Thank you. Thank you. So any other doubt with regards to the task, with regards to the algorithms, with regards to any other data sets that you're facing? I would like to ask this question that I was thinking about. How about we conduct some other sessions like a month or two from now, completely based off on projects, like end-to-end project, like one day, one complete project, end-to-end, or say 2 or 3 days, or maybe 1 week for one project. How about that? Okay, okay, we got one vote. Deep learning. Okay, that is a very difficult part. If you are kind of beginner right now, I think machine learning is preferable for now, because we haven't even touched in-depth machine learning. The one that we are covering right now is only, you can say, tip of the iceberg. Okay, okay, so we have 3, 4, 5 project-based sessions. Okay, okay, 6, 7. Well, like I think we are agreeing to it. Yeah, my question is, if can we all in a group conduct a particular end-to-end model, or you can say project-based sessions. Either it can be 1 week, one session, that can be you know, one day, one session. I don't know about that. We can definitely plan on it. But yeah, that is something that I definitely want to know, if you guys would be interested in something like that. Okay, okay, so we do have. Yeah, Prakash, and end-to-end project deployment. We won't be covering up so in depth, like you can say, uh, you know, creating high level of project plans and all. I think basic thing that we can you know, try to deploy it on Heroku or something like that. That kind of model, complete model of learning, like zero to hero kind of in a particular topic. Okay, okay, okay. I think I'm getting a point there. Yeah, we can definitely plan on that for sure. Okay, Namita, could you share your GitHub profile?
Yes, I'll do that. Should I share it in Slack or
It's
here
completely
it
up to you. You can share it here. You can share
I'll
it on.
just share it here now. One second. Yeah, I'm sharing it here.
I think what I can do is I can share all of our you know, GitHub ID along with our LinkedIn ID.
Whatever floats on your boat.
Good one, Anvesh. So surely we will definitely plan on that, on creating such a session, and I think it will be much more better, like if you all support on that also. So we'll take up some of the data set that are you know, generalized one, like say Panchon, Iris, Titanic, or say some salary data set, or you know, some cancer prediction, or diabetes prediction, something like that. So those are very generic ones, and we can, you know, model that out, do some advanced machine learning on it, boosting techniques and all those stuff, and then try to build up one particular front-end web application using either Streamlit or Flask, or maybe some other platform, and then then we can create the Heroku model and deploy it on Heroku so far. So I think, yeah, that would be the process. So yeah, I think you guys can suggest what all data set you want to cover. I think 3 to 4 data set is sufficient enough for you to you know, have in a month. Like two days will be sufficient enough for this thing. Wow, I am. Definitely, Promit. I think that is a good idea. Yeah, Promit, maybe you can unmute and talk about it.
No, I was just hi everybody. No, I was just saying that with Django you can build really nice front ends. So we can do some machine learning and then deploy it using Django. So that will also help you talk through the models concept, how to write to a data set, and then how to make it talk to a front end. So this kind of Django project will take you, end to end through the data structure and also give you a lot of useful skills. I thought this would just be a nice addition.
Yeah, I think we are all ready for Django. I think Promit is the one leading it. So I think all of the votes go to Django. Philip, can you mute yourself? No worries, thank you. So yeah, I think that is the better idea, that we can definitely go with Django, and we can take up some of the data set and try to model it, and the front end can be built on Django. So I think, yeah, that works. Yeah, we'll definitely plan on it. We'll definitely plan and then share the complete details on that. I think it should be somewhere around in within, you can say, somewhere around Diwali, you can say. I'm not sure what date is Diwali, but somewhere around that, either before it or either after that. So that will be a very good session for everyone to join in. Yeah, I think after Diwali is better option, because lot of people will be in the Diwali mood. So पता नहीं कहाँ पे पटाखे फूटेंगे. Sorry. So yeah, I think that is a better option, and we can definitely plan, and I'll share all the details with you guys. So if you all are interested, do let me know, and you can text me on Slack directly, and we can definitely conduct on it. And definitely we'll model out everything using our Jupyter notebook, or you can say a Colab or anything like that, and then deploy it on maybe say Heroku or something. And we can also use Newton AI's platform for the modeling, so that will capture a lot of it, and that will give you more better predictions also. So I think that will be a best combination of everything. So there was this question for me: is it necessary to build a model on Kaggle? Can we build a model on JMD and share our IP? Shrishti, the thing is, if you build up a model yourself and put it out on Kaggle, they will give you a score. So I think for the evaluation purpose, so that score will be compared with the one on Newton AI. So the one that is the most nearest one will be given the award, maybe based on the other parameters also. I mean, the first and the second task also. I hope you got the idea, right? So they do have this leaderboard score. So you need to submit your scores also, and everything along with that. Yeah. Okay. I think that should be sufficient for all of you, and you guys seem very much excited for the next event already for end-to-end projects. Yeah. Thank you, Leila. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for your time. If you have any kind of doubt, do reach out to us. You're already available. How about
Thank
the
you
books? What kind of books? Yeah, I'll be sharing that on LinkedIn. I'll be sharing it on
Slack
No,
also.
I cannot share it on Slack right now. I think my laptop is not connected to Slack. So I'll be sharing that on LinkedIn, and if required, I'll put up the link on Slack. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Soham. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, Namita. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye. Have a great day.